in Canada because
a boot. Not a boot. Sorry.
Hey, Jeff Ferrer, Trade Talk ADV in the garage. GoldWing project. So blinker project. So I'm going to be bouncing around in the garage a little bit. I'll do some odd projects. I'm going to film what I can. So, but I'll bring you up to speed on what I'm doing. So technically this would be part 6 of the GoldWing project, but it's going to be a mix of projects. So I'll take you around here in a minute. So the first thing I want to show you. All right, so 3D printed. I needed to do some front blinkers. I kind of thought about going with one of those headlights that has the blinkers in it, but I don't know, they're kind of overdone on the old cafe racer thing. So I had these penny lights, or like penny marker lights. They're basically, I'll take one out here. Basically, they're an LED, and they just got this rubber flange in, and they're made like so you can drill a hole in the side of a trailer and put your marker lights in there. I like to use them as signal lights. I had a pair on the front of the XT, and so I designed these small housings, basically to kind of look like an old school. Just an old school blinker. I rounded the backs off on this. I used to have them sort of curved, so it kind of looked like those old school enduro blinkers, the big ones that had the smaller part that sticks out the back, if you know what I'm talking about. I'm having some layer adhesion issues with the filament that I've been using. I print mostly in PTEG. I'm not going to make this a 3D printing video, but PTEG is... I probably mentioned it before, but it's basically a hybrid, not a hybrid chemically, but a hybrid in property types between PLA, which is the easiest stuff to print, but PLA doesn't handle high temperatures or impacts overly well, and ABS, which handles high impacts well, but ABS is really hard to print. So PTEG prints almost as high as ABS, but it does print easier. You don't need you need a heated bed, but you don't need a temperature controlled shroud and all that stuff. So I use it a lot, and I've tried a few different brands just to see which prints better. And a lot of it comes in orientation. You can see that there's some scabbing up here and here. This one I printed like this, and this one I printed like this. And because you can see how nice that turned out there. And then you can see how not nice that turned out there. It's because the support material on PTEG does not like to pull away from the unit or from the rest of the model. Again, see, nice, not nice. Support material just did not like to pull away. You got to cut it with a knife half the time, and so I got to adjust. And it's doing it mostly. It's not, the first few layers are not adhering well. There's some gaps in the print and stuff. So I don't know if it's cooling fan issue. There's the initial fan. Anyway, again, not making this a 3D printing channel. So I will probably use a little filler on that and give these some paint and make them look all nice. And then just to put them in those cheap headlight ears that I got, I just made up these little adapters that'll, and then I threaded this for an M6. So I went to the fastener store to get some shorter M6s, but basically this is going to go through there and screw into there like so. And we got to put some bullet connectors on here, of course, to put in the factory wiring. And I made a little allowance for the wiring to come out the back and just kind of be a little stealthy. A lot of your blinkers got the wiring that comes out, in another completely covered hole, which I probably could have done here. I could have extended that and then brought the plastic all the way out, and I may adapt the design and change that for that. Initially, I wanted this, well, I designed it this way for reasons that have now changed. So I may go back and fix that and reprint them. I don't know, we'll see. Okay. There you are. So basically, these holes here are what I'm going to use, and that's why these adapters. So they'll go in here, and that's where they'll sit. Now I thought about moving them up here, but they may go up there. I don't know. the jury's out on whether I like that. But again, it's hard to tell because that's not the headlight bucket that's going to go on it. The other thing I wanted to show you guys on the GoldWing project, I'll take you out. So I was reviewing the footage of the front mudguard chop, and I realized that there's quite a gap there. And I don't know if I like that. I don't remember that being on my 81, but my 81 had the Comstar wheels, and it had a 19-inch front. And this is an 18-inch front on mags, and I'm going to guess that Honda did not change. They didn't change the fork and the brace and all that. They didn't shorten this. So they just put an 18-inch wheel where a 19 used to be. And I think that's probably why the fender has that weird bend, because they wanted it to take this gap up, but they wanted it also come down and cover the wheel. So I'm wondering, oops, right late. I'm wondering if that's what they did. So I don't know what I'm going to do about that. Probably nothing right now, because I'm not going to take that fork brace out. And I don't want to put the fender back up there because it looks goofy. So I don't know. I'm going to sleep on that one for a long time. We're going to proceed with the fender as is. And we'll maybe do something about that another time. I thought about actually putting the brace on underneath, bolting it. But that may mean altering the forks a little bit, shaving some metal off there. And I'm not going to get into that right now. So, but it would be good. There's definitely room there. Like this doesn't need to stick up like that. Like really, this could go down underneath here. But again, like that's probably not a threaded hole. That's probably a threaded hole. You'd have to drill this out more and then use a bigger bolt. Thread this section if you were going to mount it underneath. You know, it doesn't need to be sticking up like that. It could be underneath there, but that's a lot of fab work that I don't really want to do. So put you back in here. We'll leave you there, and we'll get these blinkers in. No, I'm not going to wire them, but we'll at least get them hooked up so you can have a look and see what they look like. I went to the hardware store, or our fastener, specialty fastener store, to replenish some bolts that I'm missing. I got parts to fix the Unibiker plate, radiator guard. So I'll show you guys that in a second. They're still lined up. Yeah, I don't know how much you can see. There's a lot of black there, and I'm probably blocking all of our light. So actually you can stay in here. You can go in here. Now I just stepped that a little bit so that yeah, so this part will go in here, and this part is a flange that will go on the outside. I actually changed the design a little bit. I hadn't already printed them, but you know what, to be able to tell. I should have just, they're only 14 minutes to print, so I could have printed the new version, but I'm just going to use one of the old versions. Like, it's not going to matter. So so some people may go, why not just buy a pair of cheap blinkers? And I don't know. If I got to answer that question for you, then why are you watching YouTube channels? Just go buy your stuff. Previous videos that you guys haven't seen yet, but you will, I kind of been making fun of people who powder coat and buy aluminum fenders and stuff like that. I don't want to rip on those guys. Like, it's fine if you want to build your bikes like that. It's the same thing as guys who fabricate everything, and you got to give them props for that. But I don't know what they do for a living, but they got all the latest tools and fancy crap. So, like, I don't know whether somebody's sponsoring them or they're getting sent this stuff for free or what. But guys with like fancy weld, like I still use a flux core welder because I'm out of gas. And I guess I just don't want to pay a contract to the local gas people. So I don't like I really need to check it out. They might fill my bottle, but I just got a feeling I want to get there and they're going to go, well, it's not our bottle. And, we haven't certified it. And it should be like a barbecue tank, as long as it's, doesn't matter where it came from as long as the date's okay on it. And my luck, the date will be out. I haven't looked at it. I don't even know where to look at that for that stuff. So, you know, then you're gonna have to buy a bottle. I just feel like I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna come out with a $500 bill or something. You know, even if it's only like $150 to fill the bottle the next time. I just, you know, I don't want to spend $500 to get this whole thing, the whole process started. So I picked that welder up used with the bottle, about half a bottle in it. But it's an old welder. So I think I'd like to get, if I go back to gas, I'd like to get the Mastercraft, my Canadian Tire brand, which is, in my opinion, one step up from Harbor Freight or Princess Auto that we have in Canada here. Mastercraft does it. They make a pretty good product, I think. But anyway, it only has like 4 heat settings, you know, but some of the Lincoln, the low-end Lincoln ones only have 4 or 5. You know, I think the little MIG packs only got 140. Their 110 version. It's got A, B, C, D, E. You know, and this got this has what, 1, 2 min, 1, 2 max, so 4 settings instead of 5. So I think it'd do a good job. I think it does a good job. I've learned to weld on it. So yeah, this would be so much easier if I took the headlight bucket off, which is 2 bolts. Why am I doing this? Why? Can anybody answer that for me? Why? Anyway, so this 3D printed stuff, it's pretty robust. Like is it ABS, injection molded ABS strong? No, but it is pretty strong. So, and you can kind of design it yourself, right? Like it's all about doing this stuff yourself. I get a kick out of it. I have a lot of fun. You know, I've learned about. Yeah, I wondered if that was going to be an issue. The two washers they're not aligned. If you can see that, but I'm tightening them down. But the inner one's spinning on the thing, and well, I don't think it's going to twist the wiring too much. Well, that's actually pinching a little bit. Huh. Maybe I should just take the headlight bucket off, like a smart person. I also, to save my back, I prefer to work on these things sitting down or on the lift, but my little homemade lift over here, I thought the GoldWing might be a little on the heavy side for the poor girl, so I haven't, I decided to put the KE back up on the lift and try to get that carb sorted. I don't think it's going to go anywhere until spring now, but it's still, excuse me, I got the corona. No, I don't, I'm joking. You know, there's a lot more that needs to, just little things that need to be done on that. So, because it's supposed to be a flip bike. Runner for a year, but my young fellow that's going to learn how to drive a motorcycle next year is probably going to be outgrowing that bike to a point anyway. See, that's why I didn't want to take this off. Those spacers are a pain in the ass. What a convoluted setup that is. So we'll loosen this. No, that's a nylock. We'll just tilt it out there a little bit. Yeah, so now how are we going to keep that from twisting? Never thought of that, did I? No, sir. I want a pair of pliers. So one thing I could do is the smaller inserts. So what I could do is actually, I think I've made them 1mm. So they kind of they come through the hole and hit here. So if I do 2mm and make a half moon and then 2mm and a half moon on the opposite, they'll actually lock together when you start tightening it down. So that would be something, wouldn't it? Maybe that'll be version 3. Version 3. I'm gonna need more hands. So how can I hold this and hold the light? Because the light was twisting then. That's how these little 5-minute jobs turn into like an hour-long crap out in the, before you know it, you've wasted your whole darn night out here. All right, plan B. Yeah, I don't know if plan B is gonna work. Plan B is being just holding it as hard as I can, but it is just twisting over. Well, all right. I think I'm gonna have to do this. Will give you an idea of what it looks like anyway. So, right there. I don't like those either. Those probably will be taken apart at some point. Jeez, hopefully you guys didn't miss all that. I feel like this lens captures more than I think it is. I think it's not lined up, and it still catches stuff. So that's what it's going to look like. I think I'm going to have to go back to the design board with those and just make that change so that they kind of interlock with each other, and that'll keep them from twisting as I'm tightening it up. Yeah. You know, I could have just ran the wires down around and just used the, like, it just wouldn't, I don't think it would look, I think this looks neater. Anyway, we'll leave it for now. I do get to get some ends crimped on there and get them plugged in. So maybe I'll do that right now. You know, the other issue is that's probably too much. I should have used 0.5 millimeter instead of yeah, I'll have to go change that. And I can't put the caps on, I realize, because then I won't be able to fish the wires through, because there's not enough room there to put for bullet connectors to slide through. So I'm going to have to come back and make new washers. But you get the picture. You get the idea of what they look like, and I'll get bullets on, get them plugged in, and then we'll test the blinkers. So that gives you an idea. All right, so let's move on to the next part. Okay, quick update. There's our the blinker, and this was the sandwich, I guess the adapter. This is kind of a universal thing, and then I decided to use the back hole on those headlight mounts. So I just wanted an adapter to kind of adapt this to that hole. I didn't want to attach it to this because those may not be the headlight ears I use eventually. So I just wanted something that was separate. But we had two issues. We had when I tightened this down, one was spinning on the other, and so it was pinching the wire back here. You can kind of see where it's been pinched. And the other problem I had was I made these 1 millimeter thick here, the little step down steps. It's hard to see because it's all black, but and I think that's too thick. So the part that overhangs isn't putting pressure on the sides of those holes. So the whole thing is turning. So what I did is I moved it down to 0.5 millimeter, or sorry, just 1 millimeter, and there's absolutely nothing on this one. So that's definitely going to pinch. Plus I added a little, you can see a little hook here, or a little, I don't know, a square dowel, I guess, and then a receptacle for it so that they sandwich. So there's a protrusion here, or a square dowel, and a receptacle on this side so that when they go together, they won't spin anymore when I tighten it down. My only concern is that I didn't put enough enough meat on the inside to make full contact so that these can get close together. But we'll see. I may have to go back and make a new version and increase that back to 1 millimeter and leave this side blank or flat like I did. But we'll see when we go over here to the bike. All right, so my battery's starting to go. I'll have to go in and change it, but again, just a quick update. Yeah, so we've succeeded. So these aren't. This is pretty smooth, so it's still slippery a little bit, but they pinched well. The little divots or dowel pins have gone in, and nothing's twisted. The wires aren't bound anymore, so they're nice and they've got room to breathe there. The next version of these will have that covered up so that you can't see any of the wire at all, as you can see there. So the next step, I guess, is we're going to put, I'm not going to bother reprinting these at this point, but we're going to go ahead and crimp on some bullet connectors so we can hook these up and make sure that they work. All right, so there's a quick update on the front blinker situation. The next stage will be coming up with something for this. It came in a 2-pack, but basically you've got the brake light, and then your signals on either side. So we're going around the back here again. We're dying, but so once I get the seat foam done, probably going to incorporate something in there. You could do it down here or up here, but I think I'm going to come back in here. I'll 3D print a housing for it, so that you know, you don't see the wire and everything like that. Like a lot of guys put the hoop and then they French it into the hoop, the rear hoop on the back. We're not doing a hoop, so it's probably going to live underneath the seat. And I'll work the material of the new seat cover down around it. So that'll be the next project after we start shaping the seat, which probably be either later tonight or it's getting kind of late, so maybe tomorrow. Yeah, so we'll check back in then. All right, another small update. Yep, so it's all working. Of course, that's flashing fast because the flasher relay is looking for more voltage from incandescent bulbs. Quick note on that, there's 2 ways to go with that. You can either put resistors in line with LEDs, and that fools the old flasher into thinking that it's got incandescent bulbs, but those resistors are creating heat, so you've got to put them somewhere where you're going to get some airflow in them, where they could melt wiring. Sometimes they get that hot. They're not supposed to, I don't think, but they do. But you're not reducing any voltage either, because those resistors are sucking up a bunch of voltage. There's no point in going to LED if you're going to do that. The other way is to get a flasher relay that is electronic and doesn't rely on voltage. It just relies on the signal, and that's the right way to do that. So that's my opinion anyway. Quick update. Catch you on the next one. You know we're in Canada because...
A boot! A boot! Sorry.